very sorry, Dana, should have given you more warning. So I've just joined the Res Live team just in March. So I'm fairly new to Conway Hall and to not staying in London. And what this session is going to be today is just give you a chance to have a little bit more information about the London experience, and also, importantly, an opportunity for you to ask questions as well. So what I would ask is that whilst my colleagues are kind of talking through all the different aspects of London, if you have any questions, pop them into the chat box, and I'll be taking notes of common questions that come up, and also some like really cool and weird wonderful ones if they come up too. The main topics that we're going to cover today are going to be academics in general, engagement with London as a place, the logistics and specialist tracks that you can follow if you choose to join us here, and I'll let my colleagues go into that in much more detail and not hold you up too long. But I think to begin with, it would be a good idea if we just do kind of a round robin with everyone who we're speaking to today, just to introduce themselves, and then we'll get going. So, Dana, if you'd like to start, it's probably only because you're the first I can see on the screen.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. You can see me with the library in the background if you can see me on the screen. So I'm the rector here at Conway Hall. And Helen obviously introduced herself already. She's one of the assistant rectors, and also on the call is Kevin, the other assistant rector. So you'll be hearing a lot of us throughout this session.
Hi, I'm Alice Tyrrell. I'm the Director for Academic Programmes and Librarians, so I'm going to be talking today about the academic side of the piece.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Parkin. I'm the Director for Academic Engagement at the London Global Gateway, and I'll be talking to you about all the research opportunities you have in London.
And I don't know if Nick's managed to join us just yet.
I can go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Brigida Richmond. I'm the program director on the South Bend side for London, and I'm here to answer any questions you have and just kind of go through the process with you.
Okay, so we're going to kick off with academics. So to give you a little bit more detail than we were able to go into in the short 10-minute session information video that's on the NGI website that you already had access to, why you would want to come and study in London. One of the things that coming to study in London really does is, because all your courses are Notre Dame courses for Notre Dame credit, we can pick and choose the courses that we offer, and we really overwhelmingly choose courses that couldn't be taught the same way on campus. You can take a great Shakespeare class on campus with some fantastic academics, but it won't be the same experience you'll have in London, where you can go and see productions in Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. You can hear firsthand from people involved in putting Shakespeare on literally the world stage in London. Our art history courses make full use of being, you know, in close proximity to London's galleries and collections. We have a lot of performance-based classes, a lot of classes that make use of London as a classroom for you to go out and meet people and interview people, to go and see where history took place, see where the politics is being done right now, get hands-on, feet on the ground experience with the subjects that you're working with. So I would say we talk about using London as a classroom a lot, and we really do. Some of our classes spend more time outside of the classroom on various site visits and locations than they do sitting in our building. If you're looking at the slides, the fancy building in the middle is Fisher Hall, our academic building. So when you are in the classroom, that is where you are. But as you can see in that, even in that tiny photo, it is right in the heart of London, next door to the National Gallery, 10 minutes away from the Houses of Parliament. So come learn in London, because there is so much amazing stuff right on your doorstep, and we integrate that into your academic experience. Thinking about some of the logistics side of things, we do have some specialist tracks to make study abroad available for particular student groups who sometimes have difficulty fitting study abroad into their curriculum plan. So if you are some flavour of pre-professional, neuroscience and behaviour, or other kind of pre-med major, then we have courses available in the fall that would allow you to take part in study abroad and stay on track for both graduation and MCATs. If you are an engineer thinking about computer science, aerospace and mechanical, or if you're a PLS student in arts and letters, we have specific courses typically available in our spring semester that again enable you to stay on track for graduation while enjoying study abroad. If you're, any other majors and any other arts and letters or Mendoza College of Business, we have courses for your major as well as university core requirements. Our courses are, or as I said, Notre Dame courses for Notre Dame credit. You are expected to take 15 credits while you're abroad, not just in London, but everywhere. And if you want to get a flavour of what we've offered in the past, have a look on Class Search and choose the London Fall Spring campus. That will give you a sense of the history. But you should be aware that things change from year to year. We have some core faculty who teach in London every semester or every year. We also have new people joining us each year and new visiting faculty members from campus who come over for one semester at a time. So there is change. You get a full prospectus of courses shared with you well ahead of registration in the semester for London. And registration is typically in the same window as, but not exactly the same time as when you'd be registering for campus classes. So in terms of a timeline, that gives you a sense of what to expect. Something that's very distinctive about London and new for next year, new for this year, and will be new for you, is the London Seminars. This is a new strand of our academic programming, which every student coming to London from now on will take a London seminar. They are available in a wide range of different subject areas, from art history through theology via politics, classics, all sorts of things. Many of them meet university requirements, some of them don't, but what they have in common is an in-depth focus on something specific to London, the UK or Europe. They make great use of the surrounding area to improve your experience and learning through a whole range of different activities, visits and other engagements. And critically, they have a significant student-directed research component. So that gives you a chance to tailor your classwork to things that particularly interest you and go deep on something that you find fascinating, which transitions us nicely to our next slide. And over to you, Charlotte.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, you've already heard what Alice has mentioned about London being a fantastic location to really hear and see and get involved, immerse yourself in an educational opportunity that you would normally not get back on campus. Like she said, you can go to the Globe and you can hear from world-class experts all about Shakespeare. But that happens in so many different subjects. And particularly when it comes to things like research, London is, and the UK in general, is just a fantastic place to come and do research for at your undergraduate level. It also can take place at any other point in your career, but undergraduate research is definitely take place in London. So we have a plethora of archives, collections, museums, locations, sites, all on our doorstep in London that are ripe for research projects to take place in. You can meet world-class UK academics, go to lectures, hear talks, things that you wouldn't normally get.
Oh, I saw that actually doing that, yeah.
So one of the things that we've already talked about are the London seminars. Every student does get to do some research when they come to London. We will provide you opportunities within these classes to tailor the work into your own interests. You'll get guidance from your faculty leads. London seminars, and these people are people who have experience in their research fields, know lots of people, have lots of connections, can give you really good insight into the subject that you're doing and help you find something that really fascinates you. The second opportunity we have for research in London is through the Kennedy Scholars Seminar. And this is co-taught by myself and Alice, and we have this selective opportunity for arts and letters majors to come and really get involved in the process of research. They get the opportunity in class time to explore the range of libraries, archives, collections that we have all across the country, and start thinking and developing ideas and topics for their senior thesis. Now, what's really special about this class is that as we progress and we start refining ideas, you can come with very little at the very beginning. You might just have an inkling of a rough subject area. You could have 3 subject areas you'd be interested in. And over time, we start to refine it with you. We start to find really what you're passionate about, what you think will work, show you what is in the UK that might help you, but also what might you be able to be looking at around the world. And those who take part in the class are then given the opportunity to apply for a very specific fund exclusive to Kennedy Scholars, where they can continue their research. And that could mean anything from traveling to buying things that they might need to help with their research, like data sets, things like that. Finally, we have independent research. And independent research can fall into 2 categories. We have for credit research. So you could have arranged that before you come over with a faculty member from campus, and you're supervised by them, and they will give you guidance on what you should be doing while you're in the UK and while you're in London. And it has been taken, you can do it in lots of different subjects. So you could have been in science, you could have been in engineering, you could be in arts and letters. We've had lots of different students do that particular track. Additionally, we also find that students do end up in London and start finding subjects that they're really interested in, or they've got a passion that they've come to London with and they want to learn more about. And myself and again Miss Alice, we really are passionate about research and helping you find your passions about research. So we've had students in the past come to us with really random topics, and we've been able to find links to UK universities that might be researching in that, talks that they can go to, but also some students take this as an opportunity to start thinking about their senior thesis or write a wider research project. So for example, I have a great example for you. Brady Stiller, who was the valedictorian for last class, he came to London on the London undergraduate programme. He met with me, and he met with Miss Alice, and he met with some others, and said, I really enjoyed taking a class on G.K. Chesterton when I was back on campus. And I actually like him so much, I realised he's from the UK, and he had a lot of locations near London that he used to frequent, and things that he based his novels and his writings on. Could you help me fulfill my idea of finding out more about Chesterton? So we started working with Brady, and he started off just doing this as a bit of a passion project, and it developed out to being his senior thesis when he went back to campus. And when he went back to campus, he had done a lot of work already in London, but he managed to apply for grant funding, Europe funding, to come back to London and actually the archive that we now have, the collection that we have. So there are these multiple opportunities for you to conduct research. We find it is one of those ways of really engaging with London. Research doesn't have to be boring. Research can actually be something you're passionate about and something you're just genuinely curious about and you want to learn a little bit more. So please think about coming to London to do some research. And I will now pass on to our internships with Nick.
Thank you, Charlotte. So I'm going to talk to you about the internship program that we run in London. So if I could just ask whoever's controlling the slides to go on to the next one. Thank you. So you can see we've got a range of different internship opportunities on offer. This is just a selection of them grouped into the main categories. So starting with the Catholic schools, we work with 5 Catholic schools, 4 secondary or and one primary school. One of those is an all-girls school. So typically interns that are working in schools will experience the running of the school. They get lots of interaction with the students themselves, accompanying them on trips, going on excursions, managing lunchtime activities, providing informal aspects of their education in sport or craft or games. They might provide one-to-one support or in small groups to help students with their reading or their maths, assisting teachers in delivering lessons. There's also a co-curricular class associated with the school internships, which we'll come to a bit later. And there is also, and I'll briefly mention this, for the students in the fall, a trip to Slovakia, which we've run in past years. Obviously, we don't know what the situation is going to be, but it's a great trip, some great cultural immersion, and a chance to present at an education conference, but I won't go into any more detail on that for now. The second category, the larger category in the middle there, the charities and non-profits. Some of the names there you may recognize. Typically, interns in these internships will take part in fundraising, research, which supports what the charity actually does. They might do event planning, marketing, social media, editing websites, some of the really essential day-to-day tasks that these charities have that they just don't have people to do. And they really rely on our interns to come and manage these aspects of what they do. Finance, for example, logistics. They also allow our interns to actually interact with the people who are directly benefiting from the work that the charities do. One of those being the American International Church, who run a soup kitchen, where our interns work alongside people who are benefiting from shelter and the provision of food that the charity provides. In many cases, these charity and non-profit internships will allow the Notre Dame students to come in and show what they can do and allow them to shape the internship according to what their particular skills and interests are. Again, there's a co-curricular class associated with the charities, which we'll come to a bit later. The large category on the right, corporates and businesses. So we work with some startups, some large corporations, and some of the most recognizable names are here in the box. So you can see BBDO, which is one of the world's, or I think it is the world's largest global marketing and corporate communications company. Cleveland Clinic, which many of you probably recognize, who are in the process of building and opening a large hospital, private hospital in the center of London. KPMG, the audit, tax and advisory firm, and Mars, global business producing some of the world's most famous brands like M&M's, Snickers, Twix, Skittles. And then Publicis, this is a sponsorship and research consultancy agency for those interested in sports and marketing. Typically, interns in our corporate and business internships are given real work. They're expected to do work that will serve the company. They see a project from the beginning to the end. Interns will get exposure to all aspects of business, development, finances, human resources, IT. They'll conduct research, write articles for LinkedIn and other social media platforms. They will get to develop their presentation skills. They'll get to network with industry leaders. Some of the clients that these businesses work with are globally recognized names that will look great on on any resume. But the opportunities to network are wide in terms of events that our internships attend, the alumni that might introduce them to others in that network. They'll receive mentorship and support from leaders in these particular fields. And then the final category in the bottom left corner there is our parliamentary internship. So this is an opportunity to work in the office of a British MP. They will work in many cases closely alongside the MP themselves, as well as the other office staff, and gain real insight into the British political system. We have internships in 3 parties currently: Conservative, Labour and the Scottish National Party. And the responsibilities vary depending on the MP themselves, but usually they're dealing with whatever current issues are at hand at the time. Our interns will conduct research, respond to constituency concerns, either via phone call or letter, attend meetings, work on press releases, analyse news events. So a real broad range of activity involved in these parliamentary internships. And you get to work in those famous buildings shown in the picture there. There's also a co-curricular class associated. Again, we'll talk about those classes later. So why an internship in London? Well, I encourage anyone who's studying abroad to consider doing an internship or some form of regular service or voluntary work during their time. But there are many benefits, and I'm going to speak particularly about the internships. Firstly, these should be viewed as a cultural experience, an opportunity to learn about the community and the city and the culture that you're in, to immerse yourself, to just go a little further than you might if you didn't do an internship, because you'll get to commute with Londoners, work alongside them, get to know them in person and get travel advice from them, hear about their weekends. Maybe you'll get to hear about the best places to go. You might even go out for drinks with your colleagues after work. So these are aspects that you just wouldn't get from not doing an internship. Also, you step out of the famous Notre Dame bubble. You're not going every day to class. You're taking some time out of your week to go in a different direction to your peers, get on a bus or a tube, see a different part of London, which is an empowering thing to do and will allow you to give you the feeling that you know the city that much better. Of course, there's the added bonus of the professional experience. So in some cases, your internship might fit with what you want to do in your career. Sometimes it might not. And in fact, those that don't are the ones where you do find yourself really out of your comfort zone and most satisfying when you deploy your specific skills in that internship. These are international professional experiences. They're going to impress future employers. They're a conversation point in interviews. They look great on your resume. You'll get a boost to your LinkedIn profile, develop your network, develop your skills, gain new skills. I can't speak any more highly about these opportunities. And of course, they come with perks. And these are some of the things that make people sit up and listen. The internships are in some amazing locations, some slick offices in central London. You get to often, in some cases, get free breakfasts, free lunches, usually coffee and tea. We are in the UK after all, so tea is going to be on the menu at all times of the day. You get access to football tables, table tennis tables, gyms in some cases, corporate events, maybe conferences. If you work in Parliament, you can give tours to your friends. I won't mention the pubs in Parliament, but now I've mentioned it, you get to access 3 or 4 pubs in the palace. So those are some of the benefits. They are accredited 3 credits of the 15 required credits on the London programme. So the internship will take the place of 1 3-credit class while you're there. And as I've mentioned, Parliament, Catholic schools, and some of the non-profits or the charities internships have a co-curricular class and are taken for graded credit. What sort of time commitment? Well, they're all located in London at varying distances from our academic and residential buildings. Some are commutable by public transport, others are just walking distance, but none of them are at distances which would be considered unreasonable for a normal working Londoner. And we do offer a travel stipend for internships which are a certain distance away from your halls of residence, which you'd most normally be departing from each day. Typically, you will work 1 full day and 1 half day a week, and you will be able to, interns are allowed to register slightly in advance for their classes so that they can build a class schedule that allows for that 1 full day and 1 half day per week. Of course, this is all contingent on us returning to normal. Workplaces have very much changed in the past 6 months, and in some cases working hours may be reduced due to supervisor availability, commute times, that kind of thing. But I'm just presenting the internship program as it stands in a normal flow of a semester. Generally, the experience has been that past interns have been able to participate in the internship program, still travel broadly and regularly, and also engage in all of London's cultural and social life. So it won't prevent you from doing all the other things that you want to do during your semester in London. So I'm getting to the end now. How do you apply? Well, we advertise the internships at 2 separate times each year: September for recruitment semester, and then in February to recruit for the fall semester. Internships are listed on the Careers Centre's Handshake website. In most cases, you apply by submitting a cover letter and a resume, and companies will shortlist an interview by phone or by Skype or Zoom. Finally, you can find your own internship. We encourage you to do that if you have contacts or particular interests. That's something you can certainly do, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions about that or any of the internships. Finally, in order to do an internship, unless you're a European for now or a British citizen, you will require a Tier 4 visa in order to do an internship. This must be applied for in advance from your home country, and of course there is a cost involved in the visa application. We do have 1 or 2 partner organisations that cover the cost of the visa. So that's it from me, but I'd encourage you all to consider doing an internship during your time in London. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nick. So now on to Res Life. So Kevin and I will be kind of round robining with a few different parts of this section. So we are based, obviously it's very important when you come to London that it's not just the academics, which of course is extremely important, the research and the internships, but also where you live. We want you to have a fantastic experience. We want it to feel like home. And therefore we have Conway Hall. So we are based in central London, and by central I mean central. So the picture that you see here of Westminster Palace, we're a few minutes away from that. It's 20-minute walk over to Fisher Hall. We are right in the hub, so hub for overground trains that you can visit other parts of the UK. You were near areas such as Soho, Covent Garden, Oxford Street, which is a nightmare, but if you are desperate for shopping, it has everything that you need, but it is very busy. And also everything else, so theatres, the opera, galleries, museums. So we're in an absolutely fantastic location. So within Conway, you would be housed in self-catering flats. Now these can range from 4 to 10 people in a flat, but you'll never have more than 4 people to 1 bathroom, so never fear. You also have kitchens, so they're fully equipped. So unfortunately, unlike beautiful campus, we don't have dining halls. So you will have to cook here in London. It's fantastic if you have those skills already, or otherwise you will learn. I assure you will learn. So they're all equipped. You don't need to worry about bringing anything with you. And we have a number of supermarkets very close to the residents. And by that, I mean 5 minutes or so. Also, you don't really have to worry about sourcing. We are very happy for students to use online services, which are extremely popular now in London. And also it means you can work with your flatmates as well for, you know, your staple goods. So we're in a very fantastic place. We also have a number of communal areas. We don't expect you to sit in your flat all the time either. So we have our student center, which is on the lower ground floor. And this is a multi-use space. So sometimes we use it for yoga sessions. It can be used for studying. We also have a very large widescreen TV. So if you're into gaming, or I know a lot of people like to catch up on their Netflix shows every week, then you can do that there as well. There's no need to book, it's just open for everyone to enjoy. And we also have study rooms. So again, you need to focus on the academic side of things. You all have a study space within your flats. But if you want to practice some group work or just have a private space, you have those, and those have printers in as well. So if you need to scan, print, photocopy, that's all available within the hall. And obviously those facilities are also available in Fisher Hall for printing, but it saves you if you need to do some other bits while you're at home. We also have a chapel, so as well as for your spiritual guidance and peace, it's also a great place to just have some wonderful peace and quiet. So Father Jim will also provide a number of services both in Fisher Hall and Conway, and we always encourage you for your religious life, if you wish to, of course, to participate in that as part of your London living. Now, we're in a fantastic location, like we said, but you don't need to worry about security. We have security staff 24 hours a day in Conway, and more than security, they're friends. So before you know it, they know you, you know them. It's fabulous. They'll be accepting your food delivery orders and letting you know that your pizza's getting cold. They're a fantastic part of our team. So talking about the team, as I mentioned, myself, Kevin Barnes, who's also on the call, and Helen, who's the moderator on this call, we all work and live in the building, as well as my 3-year-old Chihuahua, Eleanor, who you'll often see dashing around. She's 1.8 kilograms of little brown fluff. And we all live there, and we love living there. We love giving you guys a great experience. And we're also there for support, importantly, as well. So whether that's you're feeling a little homesick, which is normal, we have so much in common, but we're also very different, and you're far away from home. So if you just want to have a cup of tea and we can watch that Netflix show together, that's great. If also you want some advice on travel or what to do in London, we're here. We're here to create that community for you in Conway and to make sure that you get the best out of your experience. Also, part of residential life is that community life. So we have a hall committee that we appoint every year. And obviously that's the students, that's you guys. We know that although I like to believe that I'm as young as I once was, maybe I'm not quite. So students know, you guys know what you want. So we encourage you to put on events. So we've had Halloween parties, spring flings. Kevin will talk about in a moment volunteering, which is often student-led, but also thinking about other opportunities that you might want to do in London. So for example, a walk over to a food market, which is amazing. They're everywhere, they're great. Just only bring a limited amount of money though, because before you know it, you spend everything. And so that's what the hall committee is here for. I'm going to also briefly turn over now to Kevin before we move on to cultural programming to talk about some of the in-hall events that we also run.
Yes, so in Conway Hall, we have a variety of regular events. So for example, on Monday nights, we play soccer. On Tuesday, I host a reading group, the Lumber House, and Dahlia and Helen also have their own events that they will host on a regular basis. So Dahlia in previous semesters has hosted bagel and coffee mornings to get you started on a Monday morning to face the week of class. And so these will happen very regularly, weekly in some instances. We also have events like yoga and contemporary dance in the Student Activity Center, which are available for all of you to take part in should you wish. We also have occasional or special occasions, one-off parties like Dahlia mentioned, the Spring Fling or Halloween or seasonal events. So there's a rich calendar of activities for you to get involved in during your time in the residence in London. We also have Mass a couple of times a week in Conway Hall. There's a chapel in Conway Hall and also in Fisher Hall. So there's 2 Masses coinciding with your class day over in Fisher Hall, and then on a Wednesday evening and sometimes on a Sunday evening, we will have Mass at Conway Hall. I should mention Father Jim is our resident priest, so he does live with us in the building in Conway Hall.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin. So actually, before we go on to the cultural programming, I just want to briefly talk about how you also break out of the bubble, as Nick mentioned. I mean, it's fantastic. We all live, I'm a Londoner, Kevin is, Helen's just from up the road. I say up the road. In terms of America, it's up the road. She's from Manchester. But it's really important. I think you will have the best and the most rich experience if you try and break out of the greatness that is zone 1 and 2. London is much more than that. You'll even start to feel that once you go out into the suburbs, but also further afield into the home counties, to Wales, to Scotland, etc. So some of the small ways, of course, that you can do that, we help you sign up, if you wish to the King's College Student Union, where you can meet other London students. So actually King's College is based actually just next door to us, and they have a rich number of events. You can use their social spaces, you can meet other like-minded students. They have freshers fairs, which is our kind of orientation fairs, which are great. And there are a number of other benefits to that as well. As we mentioned, we have volunteering, which I'll ask Kevin to briefly expand upon shortly. And Nick spoke about internships, which is another way to meet Londoners, British people, and obviously even more widely than that. London and the UK is a great multicultural hub. But mixing with different people from different backgrounds of a number of varieties is fantastic. And also travel. Now, with the situation at hand, things are changeable, but definitely domestic travel, if not further afield, is a great way. You really feel the difference. Even when you, for example, I spent most of my studying up in Scotland, and it's beautiful. The scenery is stunning. The people are very gregarious. It's a fantastic place to be, and only a few hours away. Wales, or just, for example, going to Whitstable, Cambridge, it's a great way to get out of London and to get that authentic experience. Although being in zone 1 is also authentic, but in a different way, of course. So I'm just going to briefly ask Kevin to speak about volunteering and how this can add to your experience in London.
So we understand that service is a huge deal over on campus, and we would hope that you would be able to replicate that in your lives in London. We know that previous students have found that volunteering is a great way of coming into contact with the lives of the local community and adding to it and enriching it and discovering it. So we have different options for you to avail of. A couple of popular ones are the soup kitchens at St. James's Church in Marylebone and St. Patrick's Church in Soho Square, two very interesting, vibrant neighborhoods of London. And so you can visit them as regularly or as infrequently as you wish. They always need volunteers, and there are a multitude of roles for you to engage in. And you can interact with people who otherwise perhaps you might not get to know, and who can really show you aspects of life in London that you may not be aware of. And a more immediately local one, down the road from us, we have an enterprise called Coin Street Community Builders, and they have all sorts of events going on, ranging from exercise classes for pensioners in the neighborhood to a community gardening project. So there are many things you can be doing, whether it's running around delivering sandwiches in Soho to homeless people on the streets, to, I don't know, doing jumping jacks with 80-year-old ladies, or edifying your neighborhood with planting flowers and so on. So we definitely hope that you will be interested in participating in these options whilst you're in London. And also I wanted to mention that we are open to suggestions that you might have. So for different charitable endeavors or fundraising opportunities. And I would briefly like to mention a repeat fundraising activity that we are involved in, which is called the Catholic Cup. So each semester we contest a match between ourselves and a local London university, although Cambridge in the coming semesters, and we compete against their team in basketball or soccer for a trophy. There's an actual trophy to win, but the primary purpose of this project is to raise money for a charity called the Cardinal Hume Center, which supports young people around your age, actually, who have fallen into difficulties, who might find themselves homeless or lacking the skills necessary to advance in their lives. So it's a great cause and a very enjoyable event. So if you have some time, do feel free to think of ideas that we might utilize in raising funds for this charity or
Okay, I think Kevin's video is frozen. Okay, so we'll move on then briefly to cultural programming in London. So you'll have so many different options of what to do over your weekends, but actually as a Res Life team, we put on a very packed program. Actually, I send out a brochure at the beginning of orientation, which you're able to book for. So you'll see the pictures if you're looking at the slides. The top left is of Blenheim Palace, so the birthplace of Churchill. Then we have Edinburgh Castle. This was one of our signature trips. So this was the first time we went even more further afield, and that was a fantastic. We had very unseasonably warm weather. It was September and warm enough for me to just be with a cardigan, which was amazing. So that was a really lovely trip, and it's a great way for all of us to get to know each other and for you all to get to know each other as a cohort. You'll see the White Cliffs of Dover there is the main middle picture, and we usually combine that with a trip to Canterbury as well. So it's a great day, and Leeds Castle. The UK is covered in castles. After a while, you're like, yet another one. But, you know, I love a castle. And actually, they had jousting on this day, and I was extremely excited and ran off from the group to enjoy the jousting event. So it's always fun. And actually, I think I've actually covered this a little bit. So if I move it along, you'll see this is Burton on the water on the right-hand side with the lovely ladies posing. This is one of the beautiful towns of the Cotswolds with that kind of honey-colored stone. It's actually just stunning. You can paddle in it if you're hardy. It's got some great local places for ice cream and fish and chips, and it's like stepping back in time, but it's very authentic. It's very British. It's a great day out, and we usually combine this actually as part of the Oxford trip. So we'll either do Oxford or some of the Cotswolds, like I said, as one big trip. Even though we're a very small country in comparison, actually transport can be a bit difficult to get to these very picturesque places. So this is why we do coach trips. I try to keep them extremely reasonable. They always kind of drop you door to door. We'll create a nice itinerary, but not all of them will be paid. So sometimes we'll organize, for example, a walking tour that one of us will do because we love and know the area, or I'll see that there's an exhibition on and I just think, okay, let's get a group of us and go together. So there's a wide range of things, and we always advertise it well in time because they're always oversubscribed. So I will even let you know now, hopefully you all come to London. Please do look at some of these events. And I just wanted to have a quick short plug, which I forgot to mention about where we are. So as part of Study Abroad Week, and there is a tour that we've put on ND International on the Instagram stories, I believe. So you can actually get a bird's eye view of what you'll see both at Conway, Fisher, and the lovely commute over. Like I said, it's only 20 minutes. So do jump on the Instagram and have a look on that as well. So I think now we will move on to community engagement. I think perhaps Alice, if you'd like to start, and then Charlotte, and then I will finish off with volunteering.
So kind of have three core things that provide opportunities for you to really engage with the communities in London. That's a big plank of Study Abroad, and you can access that through at least these three models as well as others. In terms of courses, we have a couple of classes that are specifically designated as social engagement classes that are designed around community engagement and service. One of those is called London Art Capital, where you would spend some time over the semester volunteering with a particular user group at Dulwich Picture Gallery. They have groups that work with everyone from very tiny babies through to the elderly, working with school groups, the disabled, various groups that they do outreach for, at the same time as taking a class that looks at how art can impact society. So that's if you are intrigued by internships, but perhaps not successful in getting one, or you're concerned about the time commitment, a service learning class like London Art Capital is a much smaller time commitment, but gives you a little taster of that community engagement. Our other community engagement course is called Past in the Present. It's an anthropology course from our archaeology professor, where again, you work with particular sites or particular community groups to really understand and explore how the past has influenced the present, but also how the present presents the past and helps us understand the past. That class works with a different site and a different community each year, giving students fantastic opportunities to get to meet and know and understand and help various communities around London. So that's two examples of ways in which you can engage with the London community through your classes. I think we're going to throw to Nick now to talk about internships.
Yep, thank you, Alice. So as I mentioned when I went through the internships, certain categories of internships have a co-curricular requirement, those being the internships in our Catholic schools, some of the non-profits or the charities, and the internships in Parliament. So school interns are enrolled in a class called Catholic Education in the Common Good. Charities, some specific ones, and then others that may fall into that category will take the Catholic Social Teaching class, and our parliamentary interns take a class specifically dedicated to discussing their experiences as an intern in Parliament, along with a Government and Politics of Britain class. So these classes are designed as companions to the internships in those particular sectors. They're designed to enrich the internship experience through analysis and reflection, typically taught in a seminar style. They meet once a week, so it's a 1 hour class per week, in addition to your internship in the sector.
Excellent. And just to speak again about volunteering, Kevin was very thorough. He's very passionate, and we all are, about volunteering in our local area. I think to finish off is that we want this to be your home for the 4 months that you're here. We don't want you to be a visitor or a tourist. You are a Londoner for the time that you're here, and the opportunities that we have. So for example, whether it's Coin Street, which is just next to us, whether it's fundraising for events or playing in the Catholic Cup, whether it's assisting with the soup kitchens, which we actually run usually during the first number of semesters, but many students then go on to continue themselves. It's a way for all of us to give back to the community in which we benefit so much from. Okay, so I think I'm passing over to Brigitte now, actually.
Yes, hello everyone. We only have about 9 minutes, so I'll make it really quick. And then Samantha Juarez, the program director for Ireland, we're going to have a Q&A session afterwards from 12 to 1. If you do have any questions, we're happy to chat with you. But just so you know, you're in the right steps for study abroad. It is definitely a many-step process. These are some of the resources you have throughout the week and also throughout the semester. You're on the right path. You're learning about the programs. I hope you guys are enjoying all the sessions that we've created for you. The study abroad team has been working hard to make sure you have all the sessions for all the locations. Reaching out to our influencers and previous study abroad students, they will be a huge help in just answering all your questions from a student perspective. And I'm really encouraging you guys to follow us on social media, because a lot of our influencers and previous study abroad students are connecting through to all the students on Instagram. And scheduling an appointment with your college advisor, your major advisor, that's really key to make sure that any of the program that you're interested in will fit in to your academic schedule. Another exciting opportunity that the London that the Study Abroad team created this year was the Study Abroad 101 advising course on Sakai. It takes about a half hour to 45 minutes. It will give you a lot of tips about your questionnaire, about the process, what you need to know. You can also take a fun quiz to see which location may be best suited for you. So definitely take a moment and complete that quiz. You even get a nice little certificate at the end. And there's a lot of events going on this whole week. We will be recording, or we are recording right now, some of the information sessions, but like the influencers tell all and the diversity inclusion panel, those will not be recorded. So make sure to log in. If you have any questions, all the program directors are available to talk to you. To schedule a Zoom session. We also have the chat feature on our website. You just have a quick question. I really encourage you to reach out to our London staff and any of the other gateways or center staffs just to talk to them, firsthand. But yeah, so thank you for hearing the presentation, and I'm done with my piece.
Okay, Brigitte, did you want to do any questions now, or?
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put it in our chat box and we can kind of go through them. I might log out shortly because we'll be doing the Q&A session for all of Ireland and UK, Samantha and I will. So you can put your questions in here or just zoom in for the Q&A session later.
Thank you very much, Brigitte. And thank you everyone for tuning in as well.
Okay, so yeah, thank you everyone. I think Nick has actually already answered the questions that were already put on the chat box. So thank you very much for that, Nick. If it comes up in the chat box as people are logging off and the recording ends, I'm sure we can I'll send them in an email. I'll make sure I document them and send them to Brigitte. Okay, thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Well, actually, just Delia, whilst we're still on, we have just had a question from Hannah. Our roommates, flatmates randomly assigned. Maybe you could just, before the recording ends, answer that one quickly.
Of course. So as part of the process, you will have a flat questionnaire. Once you complete this, then I spend a lot of time going through those and making sure that I try to house you according to your requirements as well as far as possible. But I will say that it's not always possible for a number of reasons. One of the big things that are important is that you learn to live with each other and perhaps make new friends as well whilst you're here in London. So I do assign those. They're not randomly assigned in that sense. I do take account of what you put in your flat questionnaire. There is also notes there, so if you have some particular requirement, whether it's medical or otherwise, do either feel free to write to me personally, which is obviously confidential, and my details are here, dbond1, or you may let Brigitte know or use that flat questionnaire for that purpose. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to stay, and I'm only going to have another cup of tea this evening, so it's fine. I'm happy to stay on for questions if people have any more.
Likewise, can I jump in? I've got a couple of questions
on
the academic stuff. So Danny asks, when do most students study abroad, especially engineers? Obviously junior year for London. Most engineers come in the spring when we have specific courses available for both computer science and AME majors. If you are taking a different major within engineering, talk to your academic advisor. We do have some students who come outside of that pattern and make that work with their overall plan, but that's when we have specific engineering courses typically on offer. And our NDI colleagues will take that into account when you're applying. If you're an engineering major, they'll send you in the right semester for the courses that you would normally take. Calendar-wise, we are very slightly off from campus. So assuming that fall 2021 runs on its normal schedule and not on the current amended schedule, we normally welcome students to Conway Hall the Wednesday before teaching starts on campus, and our teaching starts on the first Monday, so a day before campus. And then we finish a few days early. We have fewer teaching weeks than you, so we're just a little bit ahead of the campus calendar. Applications are, I believe, now open on the Study Abroad website, answering Grace's question. And Sydney, it is more selective for the spring than the fall, typically. So all Study Abroad is selective. London is our largest program, and we are working to increase the number of students we can accept. Typically, demand is higher in the spring. So if you want to boost your odds, I'd recommend making yourself available for the fall where it is curricularly appropriate for you to do so. Obviously, if you are an engineer or a PLS student, you are prioritized for the semester in which it is possible for you to study abroad. Did that catch all of them? And I see from Katie, yes, applications are now open and the deadline is November 1st.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks.
Are there any more questions, Helen, at the moment?
None that have come through on the chat box. So we still have 14 participants and 1 minute. So unless anyone wants to quickly throw one in very quickly, I think most of it, particularly logistics and so on, Brigitte and Stan should be able to cover in the next session anyway. But I'm sure if they can't answer a question, they'll redirect it to us. You know, we can then follow that up. So hopefully that should have covered everything from our side.
I see one last question came in, and I'm going to go ahead and say, so Nicholas has asked, is someone at a disadvantage if they've never been abroad before? Absolutely not. If anything, you may be at an advantage in your application, but you are definitely at no disadvantage if you've never been abroad before. We love having people come and participate and study abroad who haven't had that opportunity before. It's kind of what we're here for. So no, you're not at any disadvantage. You'll be very, very welcome. And you will not be alone. A lot of the students who come to London, it's their first experience.
Yes.
Traveling
and they catch the traveling bug and they want to keep coming back. And
yes.
We cannot be held responsible for that.
Hi, sorry, I have a question. So I'm sick at the moment and I was not able to listen to all the meeting, but I do have many questions. Will I be able to ask them? Is it better for me to ask them the Q&A or right now?
I think if you ask them now if there are, if there's anything we can directly answer, we will do. I think if it's something that's for Brigitte, then logging into the next session is going to be helpful for you anyway, regardless.
Okay, I don't know if many of the questions that I have, you already answered them. So I'm not sure.
That's
because
fine,
I was
go for it.
on the first time, but I was wondering, the spring is very, very competitive for London, as you said right now, but I was wondering if there's any like ratio of how competitive it is, like how many people get in.
It varies really widely from year to year. So it's really hard to say, you know, 1 in so many students gets in, or, you know, 10 out of every 11 students get in, because it varies so much from semester to semester and year to year. The only way to, you know, if you don't apply, we can't admit you.
Yeah.
So I would just say, don't talk yourself out of trying.
Okay.
Apply for the program or programs that you would most want to go to. Okay. And, you know, put your hat in the ring. That's all you can do. Okay. It's not a very gameable system because it's very, very good.
Okay, yes, thank you.
I just had one last question. So since I've never been abroad before, I don't like have a passport right now. Would I have to get one before I applied, or could I apply and then if I got into the program, get a passport after the fact?
Katie, are you still on the line?
I am, yes.
Can you take that one?
Sure, and you do not need a passport to apply, but it will be one of the first things that we ask you to do is to apply for one as soon as you're admitted to the program, any program.
Awesome, thank you.
Just so you know, passports take about 4 to 6 weeks. So it will be something we'll ask you to prioritize, because then you'll still have the any visa processes that you might need to do. I don't know if that's necessary for London.
Perfect.
It would be, if you're interested in an internship, then you, as a US citizen, you'd need a visa. So that's another sort of period of time you'd need to factor in to that. So the sooner you had your passport, the better.
Okay, awesome.
There is plenty of time between being admitted and, you know, even applying for an internship. So yeah, it's very, very doable.
Okay, because decisions, do they come back? Is it around like winter break this year for study abroad next year?
So decisions will be released, I think, like January 20th or 22nd, sometime around then. And then I think everyone will have 1 week to commit to the program. And then once you're committed, we'll start the ball rolling on all of the administrative processes.
Awesome, sounds good. Well, thank you so much, and thanks so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hope you feel better, Sophia.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
So I think if there's no more final questions, then we'll close this session.
Yeah, from what I can see, it's just stuff on now anyway.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone have any more questions? Good job, team. Well done.